Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We Should Have Recorded That with Phil and.
Adam.
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
I'm good, Phil. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good too. Doing
I'm
good
glad
too.
to hear that. We just said off the air that
Uh huh.
we would catch up on the air. So, dear listeners, you are in for a 100% authentic and spontaneous conversation.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it's going to be today. So. So yeah. I mean, we were just saying that. You were talking as we were trying to get set up. You've been away, and if you're watching this, the video, you can see that there's stuff behind me. I'm in a room, and this is gonna be my new place. This is where I'm gonna be. I have my piano over here to the left of me, and we also eventually will have a couch here, and some other stuff. So we're I was thinking we're about 75% unpacked in the houses.
That's a
75%.
that's a big happening since we recorded our last episode.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Well, thank you. We had some help. My in-laws are very helpful, so they've come over and helped. We've done planted things, and I've taken out rocks, and we put planted flowers. So yeah, we've done a lot.
Yeah, wow. Well, Phil, I guess that means I need to come down and take a look at the place, do an inspection.
Yeah, you can. I mean, like as soon as it's more okay, like we already, God really blessed us. We were able to find some people who were they were moving, they were getting rid of some couches, and we was like, we want to get a sleeper couch, and so we have one sleeper couch, and we were saying we'll probably put another one in here, so
Yeah.
we'll have two or three beds.
What a setup. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yep. But before we go any further, um, dear listeners, if you want to catch up more with us, you can like and subscribe on Instagram. I'm gonna be more attentive on that, and Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube and comment, and then also if you do have a want to share a video comment, please record that and send it to us.
A video comment?
Did I say video?
You
Audio,
did.
that's what I
I
meant.
mean, although I welcome any
Yes,
videos that our fans want to send us.
that
That would
that's
be
yeah,
fun.
you can, I guess we're adding another medium that you can share.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
Yeah. So Adam, do you want to
Well,
kind of?
Phil, should we catch up?
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't you kind of share a little bit?
All right. When's the last episode we recorded? Was that
It
in
was in June.
July?
It was in June.
It was in June. Okay, well, here's what happened to me in July. I spent a week outside of Philadelphia teaching at the Chehi Summer School of Music.
Mm-hmm.
It was very refreshing. If you can think back to a month ago, our COVID situation was looking great, and Pennsylvania and New York, for that matter, had dropped all mask mandates and physical distancing requirements. So I had a normal week of music making with my students, no masks. Yeah, sitting next to each other, being able to hear one another.
Right. Yeah.
It was really, it was wonderful being able to see the mouths of my singers. Gosh, it was so nice. So and just a great week. Really a fun week of music making, spiritual growth, catching up with colleagues who I hadn't seen in 2 years, seeing
right.
how much the students had grown in the 2 years since I'd seen them last. So and a COVID-free camp. So that it was very special. It was a very, very special week of work for me. And then I was home for a few days. And then on July 17th, is that right? No, July 16th, I left on vacation. I just got back last night on August 3rd.
Oh, really?
Actually, more like this morning on August 4th, because it was like 12:20 a.m. when I finally got home this morning. So it was an 18-day long vacation, and it was wonderful. I'm still yawning because I now I need a vacation from my vacation. I tend to vacation hard. You know, if I'm spending money on something, I'm going to get 100% out of it. So it was like go for 18 days. But it was a wonderful vacation. Would it be boring for people to hear where I went, or should I just leave it at I went on vacation?
I mean, you can. I think you should share where you went.
I should share? Okay.
Yeah.
I won't go into too much detail. You know, I feel like that's the podcast equivalent of having people over for dinner to look at your vacation photos. You know, that's that's pretty boring, right? So New York City for a day. Then I flew to San Francisco. I was in San Francisco for 2 days. Then rented a car in San Francisco, and then drove down California 1, also known as the Pacific Coast Highway, to Monterey, did the 17-mile drive through the Pebble Beach resort area, further down the Pacific Coast Highway through Big Sur, a couple of state parks, Pfeiffer Falls and McQuay Falls in Big Sur. Which, Phil, have you ever been to California?
Yeah, I have.
You have. Have you ever been to Big Sur?
I don't think I've been. I've been to LA.
Big Sur, like.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I've been to LA and I've been to. I don't know if it's Fresno, like in the northern part of the state, I think. So. Okay.
Yeah. So Big Sur is a very rural, very remote region along the Pacific Coast, south of Monterey, north of like San Luis Obispo, and it. I obviously have not driven every road in the world, but it's got to be one of the most beautiful drives in the world. It is just because I was driving south, so on my left was mountains and steep cliffs, and then you know, a little bit of flat road that they have somehow paved out of their mountainside, and on my right was a deep cliff down into the ocean. And it was stunningly beautiful. I wasn't prepared. It was one of those drives where, you know, you drive 5 minutes and then you have to pull over at a vista point and take pictures, and then you get in the car and you drive 5 minutes and you have to pull over and take pictures at a vista point. I mean, just unbelievably, overwhelmingly beautiful. So that did that for a day. Stayed overnight in it was an Airbnb in Baywood, Los Osos, and then made it the rest of the way the next day to LA. Spent 3 days after that in LA. Spent a day after that in LA, the day after that at Disneyland. And then another day in LA after Disneyland. Drove out to Joshua Tree National Park, spent one night there. Joshua Tree, was really beautiful as well. A very stark kind of beauty, in the desert. Lots of. Do you enjoy rock scrambling, Phil?
I don't think I know what that is.
Explain. It's like not rock climbing where like you need to like pull yourself up and whatnot, but like natural rock formations that you sort of like jump to and have to find a path to get to the top. And have you ever done that?
No, I've never done that.
Oh, it is so much fun. I recommend it.
Okay, I have to consider it.
Yes, so we did lots of rock scrambling at Joshua Tree, and yeah, it was a very, very stark kind of beauty. And then from there, we drove to Williams, Arizona, spent the night in Williams, Arizona, and then the next morning took the Grand Canyon Railway north to the Grand Canyon, spent the afternoon and evening at the Grand Canyon, woke up the next day, saw the sunrise over Yavapai Point, and then did a hike on the Bright Angel Trail, went out to Hermit's, what's it called? Hermit's Ridge? Hermit something. And then the next day, after that one night at the Grand Canyon, took the railway back to Williams and then drove to Las Vegas, spent 2 nights in Las Vegas, then drove from Las Vegas through Death Valley National Park, got out for 30 seconds to take a photo with the sand dunes in 116 degree Fahrenheit heat.
Oh, yes. It's hot out there right now.
Yes. And then made it to the Tioga Pass entrance of Yosemite National Park. Drove through Yosemite National Park at sunset while... it was so beautiful. And then made it to our lodge. Spent 2 nights just outside of Yosemite National Park on the west side of the park and explored the park for 2 days. Then to San Francisco. Back to where I started. Spent a couple of days in the San Francisco area, and then took a red-eye flight home or to New York City on Monday night, and then last night, Tuesday night, flew home to Rochester.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like a very eventful vacation. It does. It sounds.
It was true. Well, okay, I'm going to connect. That was too long an explanation. I loved every moment of it, but I do understand. Apologies for the boringness that it is to hear me recite an itinerary, but I will connect it to content from an earlier WSRTwPA episode. Do you remember the couple of episodes we did last fall on friendship?
Yeah.
And you remember one of the things that we said was, how it really is a shame that at least in American society in 2021, we place such a priority on romantic relationships that we often neglect our platonic friendships.
Right.
And one of the awesome things about this trip is that I was with friends the whole time. No romance in sight. So, my friend, just saw a friend who lives in San Francisco, spent some time with him. I had 3 different New York City buddies who joined me for various portions of the itinerary. It was so much fun. So, I think that's just my observation, trying to connect us back to previous content, previous conversations.
Yeah, but
those friendships, those bromances can be just as fulfilling as any romances.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, and of course, different ways. I mean,
well, yes, obviously in different ways.
No, but I think, like you said, just kind of making that, thinking about a fuller picture of what what love is and how do we express love and care for people.
Yes.
But one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking is just, when you think of California, you kind of think of like two, maybe a few places like L.A. We definitely think about L.A., the city of L.A., and you can think about San Francisco. But like you said, it is a very mountainous, and I think there's a lot of agriculture out there as well. So there's a lot of, like probably inland, there's a lot of flat land and those type of things. And so like kind of, reimagining how we think about these places that are, are in our mind are known for Hollywood. Like we know California for Hollywood. Everyone,
yes.
That's where everyone wants to go. But they don't think about the parks and the parks and the nature that's there. I was also thinking about San Francisco, and with music, like two places that's pretty big is like Berkeley and Oakland, and like they're all. I'm looking at a map right now. I don't know why. One day I think maybe we were talking about San Francisco for some of this. I don't remember, but just like how all of these places are like, or I guess in like a 5-mile radius of each other in San Francisco. They're all little municipalities of San Francisco. It's like so much to see.
The Bay Area is so much more than just San Francisco.
Yeah, it's so much more.
Yeah. Although San Francisco, it was my first time ever, and it was just, apologies to any listeners from LA, but I much prefer San Francisco. And I'll say this too. Phil, I was a living example of like all we think of is beaches in Hollywood, because when I was flying to California, I just assumed that I'd be going to Malibu, right? Like just sunshine and hot weather and whatever. It was cold in San Francisco. It was really cold. My first day there, I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and I was like, I was with my buddy who lives in San Francisco, and I'm like, we have to go back to your house so I can get a sweatshirt. I am too cold to be outside.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I felt that in LA too. Like I traveled there as a teenager. So this was like way before we had Google and all of these types of things, but yeah, it gets really cold. At night and in the morning, it's pretty cold outside. LA has some pretty nice nature areas too. We've gone several times, but the time where we actually saw more nature, my sister's godbrother, he was a member of our church. He was getting married, and so he actually got married at some peak. Not too far from LA. We stayed in, I think the name of the place was Aventura, which is probably outside of LA somewhere. But yeah. It's still very beautiful.
Absolutely. All right, Phil, I've gone on too long. Tell us what you've been up to.
So, I mean, I was kind of sharing that earlier, but we're still kind of moving in. We are in our place. I think maybe the last time we spoke, Wendy and Annaïse was staying with, we all were staying with my in-laws, but they were there, like, they didn't really leave. I was leaving and still coming here to kind of prepare and doing other things. But I want to say, was it late July or maybe late July we moved in. We moved in here. So we've been in here it hasn't been a month. I think Annaïse was already a month before we moved in.
Okay.
So it hasn't been a month, but we've been here, and I've been doing things. I've learned a lot about house, like electricity, household electricity. I've been rewiring things in the house. I had someone come out and do some work, but then they didn't do everything we wanted them to. So I figured it out. I watched some YouTube videos. I got a multimeter, and I was able to to do some things. So yeah,
That's awesome, Phil. Oh, I'm so impressed.
yeah. So that's the thing, and the thing, Annaïse has in the past week, I think her personality has come out even more. Like, I mean, as a baby, she, like, I could say, we were saying, like, man, she fills the room with her personality. But now she's like talking, I mean, as much as a 2-month-old can talk, she's making sounds. I actually wanted to share a little. Let me see if you can hear this. I wanted to share a little video I recorded of her the other day. Let me see if you can hear it. Do you hear that?
I did not hear anything.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me figure that out. But that's been the month of June. Hold on one second here. Let me pause that. Let me see if I can share my audio here. Yeah.
That's my stuff.
So yeah, that was
That's precious.
yeah. So she's starting to make more sounds and things like that. And so I was talking to some gentlemen at my church, and I was saying to them, my desire is to kind of like observe her and not to swoop in so much, just try to help herself. Souvenir, he was really understanding what I was saying, but he was like, you're gonna miss this time, because at some point she's not gonna just allow you to pick her up. So I've been thinking about that this week. Just appreciating the fact that she's not gonna go anywhere. Like
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, cherish every moment, Phil. I know you are.
Yes, yeah. We're trying. So, do we want to talk about maybe a little bit of some things that's been going on? The Olympics are going on.
The Olympics are happening. Yeah.
Have you been watching? Have you been between your travels?
Yeah. If we were in a hotel that had a television, we weren't always. Sometimes, like, we would turn NBC on at night. I gotta be honest, I fell asleep. Like, I was just like, I was so tired at the end of every day that I laid down with the intention of keeping my eyes open to like drift off to sleep with the Olympics going on, but instead I laid down, looked at the television, and that is the last thing I remember until waking up to my alarm clock the next morning.
Yeah, I think we've been watching it, because we're here and I'm with the baby, and it is weird because it is the time difference and everything. But I think one of the interesting things that everybody has been talking about is, Simone Biles had a decision to step back because of just stuff going on. She's a human. She has she has a life outside of gymnastics. And I think I was hearing today that I think her aunt or someone in her family had also had died, and so that was going on in her mind.
Yeah.
I'm sure that played a part in, her saying, for my mental health, I need to
Right.
step back. And and I think that's part of, well, one, like having the support to say I can do that. Like,
Yes.
her coaches seem to be very supportive. I haven't heard that they've said very mean things about her. And then she then decided to compete, and she received a bronze medal. And so
Yeah.
so that was I think that was a notable kind of story, because everyone has been following her, like,
Right.
she was gonna dominate again, but it was a different story, and that's good. That's a good thing.
Yes, exactly. I think it's took a lot of courage to do what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I applaud her for it. I applaud her.
Yeah. I think we were watching track and field, and that's been pretty cool to watch. Again, just kind of just watching all the athletes. One of the things that I've like, man, this really doesn't make any sense to me, is the long jump.
Yeah, how so?
Because I understand you're jumping in a pit of sand, like, that as a child I probably would definitely enjoy that. But like watching them, you're basically like the impact, even though it's in sand, you're like really forcing your body to like impact against the ground. I'm like, that's hard on your body.
Yeah.
And you see them, like the guys that, like, one guy had tape on around his knee, another guy was wrapping his calf up, all right, not his thigh up. I'm just like, that, it's see, I could,
yes. Yeah, I hear you. Yes, there's like, if you're like bound to injure yourself.
yeah.
What's the appeal of that? No, I totally understand that.
Yeah, I mean the jumping, like the pole vault, and is it the pole vault where they use the stick to get over the pole, and the high jump, like those seem very, those seem like pretty interesting sport. But I was thinking about it the other day, watching them do the long jump. I'm like, man, that is hard on your legs.
Yes,
it's hard on your legs.
Yes.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about as I don't know if you have any current events, please interject. But there was a story over the summer, I think maybe even in June, about Hannah Nicole Jones. I think is how we say her name, Nicole Hannah Jones. She is a journalist and a professor, or she was a professor at UNC. She was going for tenure, and the story around her is that they did not give her tenure at first. She was receiving some chair. I forget the name of it. I think it's like night chair or something like that. But they did not give her tenure. And after people expressing concern and protest, they eventually, reconsidered. And I think after her jumping through more hurdles, jumping over more hurdles, they eventually voted to give her tenure. By that point, she had decided not to accept it. And she decided to go to Howard University, which is a historically black college in DC. And I think one of the things she was saying is that, or one of the things people have been saying, and she's been saying, she doesn't want to go somewhere where she has to be tolerated, but she wants to go somewhere where she's celebrated and appreciated. I think, like, from what I understand, she didn't say anything. She didn't make any of this public until they had already they had made the final decision, and she had decided not to go. but because she was just she wanted to go back to the school that she graduated from. She graduated from UNC, and she wanted to go back there and serve. I want to also say, if you don't know who Hannah Nicole Jones is, and I hope I'm putting the names in the right order. She led a project called 1619, where she was wanting to bring to light the history around slavery in the United States and reshape kind of how slavery came to be in the United States. And I think that was some of the controversy around her tenure. But again, I mean, and you can explain to our audience like the importance of tenure and like why it even is more important when it comes to the fact that she was doing something kind of controversial and wanting to teach, be a professor. You want to explain a little bit?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I think a really good place to start would be we can recommend another podcast.
Okay.
Because
yes.
Of course, Ezra Klein cares whether he gets a recommendation from us.
Right.
But the Ezra Klein Show, which is a podcast from the New York Times opinion section, did an episode with her and Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Right.
And it was excellent. I learned so much from their conversation.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, I think she is a really paradigmatic example of why tenure exists. I will say, as a tenured professor, there are some pretty strong arguments against the tenure system. I mean,
oh, really? Wow.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, like, I've got tenure now, so now I can just phone it in, right? Of course, I'm not going to do that. I care too much about my work. I care too much about my students. But there are some legitimate arguments against tenure. But her situation was a great example of why tenure exists, because she was doing legitimate scholarship with the 1619 project. And had she already been granted tenure, that would have been a non-issue. Like you can think about the 1619 project what you will, but my bias is academics should not shy away from controversy just because it's controversial. I think academics throughout history have helped other members of society understand complex issues, and that's exactly what she was doing, helping Americans understand that our history that has typically been taught to Americans through a particular lens was not giving Americans the complete picture of the founding of this nation. So, I mean, just when the first president of the United States is a slave owner, when the writer of the Declaration of Independence is a slave owner, when the United States Constitution defines African Americans as 3/5 of a person. I mean, these are grave injustices that need to be examined. And so she was doing her job. She's an academic, she's a historian, she's a journalist, she's investigating these grave historical injustices that are still woven into the fabric of American life. And so for her to be denied tenure as a result, or probably as a result of that, that does that's basically the academic equivalent of being fired. To be denied tenure is the academic equivalent of being fired, because it means they're not committed to you, so they're going to be looking for someone else, and so yeah, I don't know if I explained that at all, but I just wanted to elaborate a bit on what you'd said.
No, I think that was very helpful. I mean, if you still have questions, just Google it. But I think that was, that was helpful. You explained it well. I also want to say that, man, we talked about this before. And I think, if you want to check out our kind of track record on, man, like the truth being known, like that's kind of what we did. That's what we dealt with in 2020.
Yes.
That was what we was dealing with in 2020. And so, like, the truth needs to be known. And then from that place, we can really grow and heal, or we can heal and grow together. And so when the truth is truly known. So yeah, I think that's do you have anything on your mind? Anything else on your mind? We have like, you can take 2 minutes. We have like 2 minutes. I give you time for your next meeting.
Okay. You know what, Phil?
What's that?
Actually, so just the CDC's guidelines that we should be masking again, even if we're fully vaccinated. I have thoughts, but it's become so controversial. Speaking of controversy, you know me, I've never shied away from sharing my opinions. But in this instance, I want to make sure that I am voicing my opinions articulately. So I actually want to stop, get some sleep, get my body back on East Coast time, think about what I want to say, and then express myself. So let's wait till next week.
Oh, hey, there's the cliffhanger. There's the cliffhanger. All right. So, hey, if you want to hear what we think about the CDC, come back next week. At least what the CDC's guidance, the new latest updated guidance is for the coronavirus.
Oh, no. All right. Phew. Okay, man.
I put some pressure on you.
Yes, okay, now that I've promised that, I really got better write my script.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, but I think the last thing I'm going to say, I forget where I was listening, where I heard this. But I'm going to try to make this brief, and I'm definitely with you. But the importance of saying that we have the science that we have up to the point that we have it. Mm-hmm. And of course, as we keep learning, we share what we know.
Right. Yes. Well, let me just say this as a preview of what I'm going to say the next time we record.
Mm-hmm.
Vaccines save lives.
Yes.
And vaccines are the ticket back to normalcy. If we want to take off the bleeping masks long term, we need more people to get vaccinated.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And there are sad stories about people wanting it after the fact. So please do that. Please do that. I think that's a great place for us to stop. Please go get vaccinated. It's going to help you and those you love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Could you imagine just all of those stories of people in ICU texting their loved ones that they cannot see because of they are, have a deadly disease that's highly contagious. Texting their loved ones saying, I wish I'd gotten the vaccine. I wish I'd gotten the vaccine. I should have just gotten the vaccine. And it is heartbreaking because it didn't need to be this way, because you can walk into any pharmacy or supermarket in the United States of America and get the thing.
Yes. Yes. We got to go up for the 20 minutes.
All right, no. Let's call it a day. Anything else for the good of the order, Phil?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, dear audience, we will be back with you soon. I am back in Rochester. And Phil, are you going anywhere?
I'm not. I'm just.
All right.
I'm set up. I'm
Well,
ready.
then, now that you're set up and I'm set up, we can be back more frequently. No
Yes.
more month-long breaks.
Yes.
All right, dear audience, I will say bye for now.
Adios.